So just like wine sommeliers, we also have water sommeliers. It's just that for us, water sommeliers, our life is much more complicated because wine drinking is very pleasurable, whereas water drinking is boring. I happen to be a certified water sommelier. Water sommelier is somebody who is able to detect, taste, detect, and differentiate different types of natural waters based on their mineral characteristics, because each of the mineral in a given brand of natural mineral water tells a story. Average Indian middle class, the best way is to boil your water and drink. So really find an experience starts with water, and it is in Australia called Tasmania. In Tasmanian region, there are a couple of water brands. They promote rainwater. When you say rainwater, they harvest the water even from the first rainfall, even before the water hits the ground. They process that water and they promote it as rainwater. From a layman's perspective,
Often compared wine with water and told that a perfect meal can be completed by a good glass of water.
that's right. So what happens is when you drink, and this is purely applicable when you go into a premium fine dine, like you are sitting in Kampai, one of the finest fine dine restaurants in Aero City, Delhi. Now Kampai has great delectable menu. Now how do you enhance that experience? No longer today you're going out to eat food. 20 years earlier, 25 years earlier, हम लोग खाना खाने के लिए बाहर जाते थे. We have moved ahead. We go out, but we don't go out to eat food. We go out for experiences. When you go for a culinary experience, now you want the whole culinary experience to be standardized, or it needs to be efficient at all levels. So right from the time the darban opens the door till the time you're seated, even before you start your meal, the first thing that comes on the table is water. So essentially,
So, hello everyone. So, today I'm joined by someone who is very special. The reason is that you haven't heard about his profession. What is your profession, sir?
I happen to be a certified water sommelier.
So, I referred you as a water taster. Before starting the interview, you got a bit angry and you corrected me. So, if you could tell us what is this profession is all about and how, what led to this invent of this profession?
Well, I wasn't angry. I was trying to explain as a in a layman's language. So in a layman's language, yes, it's a water tester. So essentially, a water sommelier is somebody who is able to detect, taste, detect, and differentiate different types of natural waters based on their mineral characteristics, because each of the mineral in a given brand of natural mineral water tells a story. So you have calcium, you have potassium, you have magnesium, you have silica. So there are almost 23 minerals present. So the human body requires at least a daily intake of 25 minerals, out of which a lot of brands there's almost 20 plus minerals in one brand of natural mineral water. So essentially, a water sommelier is somebody who is, as I mentioned earlier, is able to detect, recognize, and differentiate different types of minerals present in that brand of natural mineral water, and then who is able to suggest pairing options for food with different types of natural mineral water. Because all this while in the Indian context, you've been looking at only water. We've been only looking at food paired with different kind of wines or spirits. But if you look at the international market, it's almost a decade and a half old concept of different types of waters paired with different types of cuisines, different types of waters paired for different courses of meals. So when you do a 7 course meal, you have 7 different types of waters. So much so that actually you can have your a chocolate mousse, a particular type of water, to make your experience more fulfilling. Water sommeliers came into being essentially with the advent of fine waters as a category. Now, what is fine waters? Fine waters essentially is a consortium of different brands of natural mineral waters, which are known for their very, very unique offerings. So when I say unique offerings, it could be that the particular brand of mineral water or some brand of natural mineral water could be having an extremely high amount of mineral content. When I say mineral content, is essentially known as TDS, the total dissolved solids. In some cases, the TDS could be up to 15,000 milligram per liter. When you say 15,000, just to give you context, generally TDS is around 200 to 250 for any normal natural mineral water. Now from 200 to 250, yeah, totally dissolved solids. Totally dissolved solids means the sum total of all the minerals given in a particular brand of natural mineral water. The sum total, the sum total of all minerals present. Let's say you're drinking a bottle of Avion. Now Avion has got a particular TDS of 330 to 340. So TDS is the sum total of all minerals present in Avion, and that is what you call it as a natural mineral water. Now, how did this this fine water came into being? So most of the waters are regular. Even in within the natural mineral water, there are just natural mineral waters in a regular sense. Now, fine waters are those waters wherein, apart from a very unique mineral offering, they also have a different offering. Say, for example, there are some waters wherein the source of the water, the aquifer, or the spring from where the water is flowing out or flowing through is almost a billion year old. There is a water brand in Australia called Three Base Mineral Water from Australia. The fantastic product, one of my personal likings, that average human body requires 25 minerals. Now, out of those 25 minerals, three base has almost 23 minerals per daily intake. Now, there are some waters. There used to be a company called Svalbard from the Svalbardi region. Now, that was considered to be the most complex into the processing water because the Svalbard region is in the North Arctic Pole. Now, you need to go for sourcing that water. The team used to travel almost a fortnight deep within the Arctic Pole to get the icebergs, harvest them, bring it back, and then process it. So, likewise, there are various brands which has got very very unique offerings. In some cases, the process of acquiring that water was very complicated. In some case, the age of the water was very very old, as in the case of three base mineral water. Not just the age, even that the water has the highest amount of minerals present in any other brand of natural mineral water. Like we have 23 minerals present in one brand of natural mineral water. Now there are some water brands that are very very young. Like there are some water brands like there's a place in Australia called Tasmania. In Tasmanian region, there are a couple of water brands. They promote rainwater. When you say rainwater, they harvest the water even from the first rainfall, even before the water hits the ground. They process that water and they promote it as rainwater. So the consortium of all these water brands offering various possibilities, they come into the consortium of fine waters category. Now, when this category came into being, it also necessitated that there needs to be somebody or there needs to be a tribe with that could explain what is so unique about these fine waters, and then subsequently water sommeliers came into being. And this has been then this is not this as I mentioned earlier, this is not something new. This is there in the international market for almost 15 years, but yes, the awareness is pretty low that people don't take you seriously when you say, oh, is there water sommelier, is it for real? Because people believe that, oh, it's something like a made up thing. So just like wine sommeliers, you also have water sommeliers. It's just that for us, water sommeliers, our life is much more complicated because wine drinking is very pleasurable, whereas water drinking is boring from a layman's perspective.
Often compared wine with water and told that a perfect meal can be completed by a good glass of water.
That's right. So what happens is when you drink, and this is purely applicable when you go into a premium fine dine, like we are sitting in Kampai, one of the finest fine dine restaurants in Aero City, Delhi. Now Kampai has great delectable menu. Now, how do you enhance that experience? No longer today you're going out to eat food. 20 years earlier, 25 years earlier, हम लोग खाना खाने के लिए बाहर जाते थे. We have moved ahead. We go out, but we don't go out to eat food. We go out for experiences. When you go for a culinary experience, now you want the whole culinary experience to be standardized, or it needs to be efficient at all levels. So right from the time the darban opens the door till the time you're seated, even before you start your meal, the first thing that comes on the table is water. So essentially, find an experience starts with water. And when you have a meal, you don't notice it because we haven't been exposed to the idea. Uh, for many people, it's just a rich people's luxury. But for me, if I'm going to a restaurant, a very premium one in that, and if I'm going to spend, let's say, 4,000 or 5,000 rupees for a meal, I wouldn't want to indulge in everything that is in and around that experience. And it begins with water because when you have a meal with a natural mineral water, uh, A, you're not drinking from a plastic bottle by and large, you're drinking from a nice natural mineral water made in good quality glass. B, when you have a meal with a natural mineral water, the minerals present in the mineral water enhances the flavor of the food that you're eating in. That makes your overall dining experience better. That does not happen. That does not happen when you're drinking RO water. RO water is essentially treated water, and for us, water sommeliers, we think RO water is dead water. Now, when I say dead water, not in the literal sense of dead water, there's nothing in the water. It is just a water that's been given to you from the point of view that it's potable. Yeah, so in that sense, so when we say dead, people always kind of they kind of misunderstand it. That dead water from the pani kharab nahi hai, it's lifeless water. Because when you what happens with beyond the point that is it going to keep, so beyond hydration, there is nothing that the RO water can do. Whereas when you drink a natural mineral water, let's say you're a sports person, you're playing soccer or any of the games, when you lose out on minerals by way of sweat, now the best way to get them is either by through a food cycle or the food that you eat, or you can drink good amount of natural mineral water. And That is the reason when you, especially in the fine dine environment, it's very important that when you, because it's all about experience, right? So that fine dine meal needs to be complemented with a natural mineral water, that too in a glass packaging and a natural mineral water, and not RO water.
You talked about fine dining, but in our daily life, how much is it important?
Uh, uh, just like in any other aspect of life, context and perspective is very important. Like anything you do, uh, so a good natural mineral water is not a must have for the guy on the street. For him, his basic need of shelter, food, and housing is to be taken care of. So we are not proposing him that he should be drinking natural mineral water. As long as he gets potable water for his in his context of life, that's important. But for somebody who's affluent, who's well settled, and who has a good amount of disposable income, for him, a natural mineral water is recommended at home. So if you're asking me how do you drink water, so if somebody's at home, and so it depends upon it which segment of the society you're talking about. You're talking about an average Indian middle class. The best way is to boil your water and drink. So you filter your water if you want to, yeah, because there's nothing going to come out of the filter. It's just a good marketing gimmick. It depends upon whether you like Shah Rukh Khan or whether you like Hema Malini gives you Kent, or Shah Rukh Khan gives some other water. So there's not much that happens in an RO. Yeah, it's just that it's potable water. We recommend that for somebody who doesn't have the propensity to spend, you should be always be drinking water, even if you can filter it, but nothing will come out. But nevertheless, the more important point is you need to boil the water and drink from a hygiene point of view. And for somebody who can afford, they should be having a natural mineral water, preferably in a good packaging.
So when we talk about that, I mean, in from real point of view of the average Indians right now, do you think that Indians are willing to spend in water?
uh, Whether Indians are willing to spend on water is directly proportionate to what kind of education and awareness they are exposed to. As a part of I being in the water industry for almost close to 3 decades now, throughout my life, my focus has been to educate the hotels and restaurants, because that's where the experience. I went to Germany for my water sommelier course, of course, but from whatever that I have learned, and even before, our effort was always to educate the hotel and restaurant staff as to why you should be giving in an natural water and not a packaged drinking water. I'm not saying packaged drinking water is bad. I'm saying in the confines of a fine dine, a natural mineral water is always recommended over a RO water. And once I educate the hotel staff, he's likely to educate the consumers who are coming in, and he's likely to recommend them saying why you should be having this mineral water. So I think one of the reasons why the end consumer in the Indian, even the affluent ones to a large extent, is not aware, because for us, or for that matter anywhere across the globe, they think pani hi to hai, it's water, so great about it. But the moment somebody tastes different types of water, and he says no, there's a world of difference when we taste water. I think this all goes back to what we all learned in school, and unfortunately that still continues to be told, that water is tasteless, colorless, odorless, and that's not true. Water has got taste, water has got color, and definitely water has got good aroma and sight as well. So it depends upon what kind of education that we pass it on to the end consumers through hotels and restaurants network in the country.
So I will end with asking you that if there is someone who wants to be a water sommelier, what will be your advice and how he can be a water sommelier?
Well, not just a water sommelier. Anything that you want to do, you begin with why, right? Because you need to be very clear why I'm doing it. I can't become a Formula One racer because I saw somebody being a Formula One racer. Am I programmed that am I been thinking about being a Formula One racer from a very childhood, or even not even very child, even during my formative years? Am I having a deep passion for it? So because many a times people do not, or people are not able to differentiate between liking hobby and something taking it seriously as a profession. Yeah, all three are three different, all these are three different metrics. Now, in case of in my own case, uh, it's not that one fine day I woke up out of the bed and said, "Oh, chalo, water sommelier bante." No, uh, I became a water sommelier because even before becoming a water sommelier, I have been working in the water industry for almost 2.5 decades. Yeah, And after having acquired or after having acquired an experience of almost 20-25 years of being in the water business, I felt that there was a genuine need to validate these learnings through a professional course, because I can't be bulldozing my point of view without a technical validation, right? I can't say no, मैं 25 साल से पानी बेच रहा हूँ, I should be knowing everything. No, that doesn't work that way. So I had to validate my learnings that oh, I've been exposed to this particular course of being a water sommelier, and through this exposure, I want to share the learnings to the end consumer that this is how water should be experienced at. So unless and until you're not serious about, so it's not that uh, as I mentioned earlier, that person needs like the reason for me to become a water sommelier. One another reason was that every time I used to have a drink, I used to wonder that what goes into making this drink. So if I'm drinking a wine or if I'm drinking a beer, and I always found that the imported beers always had a much better refined taste as compared to domestic ones. And the one simple reason was that some of the beers that I've tasted were German beers. Then I realized that some of the best water sources in the world are in Germany. So your water plays a very detrimental role in any beverage you drink. So if you're drinking a chamomile or a green tea, now everybody loves to drink a chamomile, right? Now, how many of you know that the actual chamomile you're drinking is not even chamomile? The reason for that, nothing wrong with that is just that the chamomile that you're drinking, it's made with RO water. Whether they're sitting at Taj or Oberoi or married in any of the hotels. That with the moment you use treated water to make your chai or coffee, 50% of the flavor and the aroma is completely dead. So no way you are going to experience actual flavor of a chamomile or a Darjeeling or a English breakfast. You are not till such time you use good quality water that will actually give you actual taste and aroma. So that's how it works.
Okay. Okay, so we will end the interview by having a glass of water.
You can try this and the other one, and you tell me what is it, and try to apply all your five senses and see what is it. Let us smell into it. So
Okay, I had this glass and okay. Well,
you made faces with this, right?
yeah.
So how did you feel this?
Wait a minute. Let me test it again. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's pretty same for me. I can't.
Okay, let me give my this is your RO water. What I guessed is chlorine,
Okay.
and the heavy chlorinated water. Whereas if you drink this mineral water, that here, it's got good amount of bicarbonates. That's for me
Yeah,
as a familiar.
I can.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is my.
It's a natural mineral water,
Okay.
but it has got good amount of bicarbonates
Okay.
and calcium. This is pure, not BMC water. Of course, we are in Delhi, so it has to be Delhi Corporation water because it's chlorinated. I can smell chlorine from almost 100 meters. Yeah, it's heavily chlorinated, but then it's potable. Yeah.
So one question arised within me that do you think that pollution somehow affect the water?
Uh, Not for packaged drinking water, but for natural mineral waters. Yes, if your sources, if your surrounding, let's say you know how do you get natural mineral waters? You don't get natural mineral waters in Karol Bagh or in Aerocity. When you get natural mineral waters, you need to go to extreme remote areas of the country. Like go to extreme parts of Uttarakhand where you get a natural spring. So if your environment is polluted, that will have a direct impact on the quality of the water. So, for example, 15 years back, if Himachal was good, for example, not necessarily that Himachal is good today. As an example, or if 15 years back, if Uttarakhand was clean, not necessarily that Uttarakhand place where the water is coming from. Because what happens is when there is an increase in the number of, or when there is or not even heavy, even if there is semi-industrialization or any industries coming up, what is industries? Any industry will have industrial waste, right? So any industrial waste that goes into the ground, that becomes nitrate, and that nitrate eventually becomes part of the water cycle, and then that nitrate is highly undesirable when you talk about natural mineral water. So nitrate is nothing but industrial waste, and yes, to answer your question,
Yes.
good amount of pollution can impact, but it's not so much so impactful from a packaging water because eventually they're going to treat that water. But on the other side, then you have to bear the heavy impact of chlorine in the water. So in either ways, it's not desirable.
From now onwards, whenever I am having a glass of water or a bottle of water, I have to think. Um,
Just try and apply
yeah,
it
try.
for
I
twice
have
in
to.
a
I
day.
have to. I have to do that. Okay. Goodbye. Thank you.